I recently got a Nintendo Switch, thanks to my fiance, and so I decided to buy Undertale with all of the money I don't have and to play it for a few hours. I won't lie, I was tempted to snap my Switch after spending 2 days playing Undertale, only for me to finish the game and Flowey to tell me after his boss fight that I haven't met everyone yet, so I had to backtrack all the way to Undyne's house, but I couldn't find my way there, so I ended up just starting the entire game again. I've played this game before, as you may know from a certain video I uploaded many moons ago. Anyway, enough of that rubbish. What makes this game good? Why am I going to be talking about ethics like I'm a higher being that's better than everything and everyone, rather than being humble like a stoic philosopher? Well, because I like philosophy and I touch on it slightly in my university degree, and I like this game, and because I can, really. Undertale is a 2015 RPG-styled game made by Toby Fox. You control a child that has fallen into the underground, under the surface of the earth, separated by a magical barrier that ensures humans and monsters don't mix. The first monster you encounter is Flowey, who, if you don't know his tricks because you've been living under a rock, so you haven't actually played nor seen any videos about Undertale, he tries to kill you. If you avoid the love pellets, then he starts to get mad like a little baby. But don't worry, your monster mother comes to help you. But wait, a key story-driving plot piece is incoming. You have to leave Toriel's house in order to progress the story, because you have to find Asgore's castle to shut down the barrier for monsters and humans to be happy together again? Whoa! There's so many little things to this plot, but I feel like this game doesn't really need explaining any further at the moment, because I'm going to explain some stuff later, and act like I've unlocked my brain and I've reached a higher plane. Oh, that rhymed. And also because this game has been out for so long and it was so popular. My god, the Undertale fandom was quite insufferable at the height of this game's popularity. So in this video I'm going to be covering 3 main ethical, moral, philosophical dilemmas, and the first is the trolley problem. So the trolley problem is a famous thought experiment in ethics and psychology. One of the experiments is deciding whether or not you should pull the lever to divert the runaway trolley onto the side track. During this experiment, you're meant to be thinking about, is it worth killing 5 people or just 1 person, and sort of whose life or lives matter more. Throughout Undertale, you can decide to kill 1 monster, 2 monsters, or all of them, or none of them. You can kill those who you believe aren't worthy of living, such as the monsters you randomly encounter while exploring the world. Or maybe you kill everyone, including Sans, who is undoubtedly the hardest boss in the entire goddamn game. But how do you judge which life matters more? Do the main monsters you encounter matter more because they are the main characters? Or do the monsters you encounter randomly while exploring matter more because they wander this world in awe, seeking compliments or belly rubs. It is your own personal experience that shapes the trolley problem in this game. While other games like GTA or Call of Duty make you feel relatively nothing while killing people simply because they are, shoot 'em up games and there's no real moral grounds in these games, you just kill people because it's fun. In Undertale, you don't have to kill, but you equally don't have to spare anyone, or you can choose a bit of both as a sort of neutral route. You're meant to feel bad for killing monsters in a way, and you suffer the consequences because of your decisions. Everyone starts to fear you, they tell you how sad they are that you killed a particular monster, especially Sans. Sans is sort of the final monster you meet before getting to Asgore, and he confronts you over your actions, whether or not you've decided to kill anyone or kill no one. Sans is highly upset and disappointed in you and says you're sort of a bad person if you've killed the monsters he's known for many years. They offer to help you get out of the underground, and you could have set them all free to mix with humans once more, but despite their kindness towards you, you've killed them, and now it's up to Sans to stop you once and for all. Hell, even towards the end of the game when you encounter Flowey, even he's scared of you and what you've become, and he's a massive believer of eat or be eaten. You kill everyone and decide to reset the game, and you find that everyone sort of remembers who you are and what you've done in a previous save. If you're good though, Sans won't fight you because you've shown people LV, which in this case means love. But if you were to kill monsters, this LV would mean levels that you've gone up by gaining XP from, killing people. If you haven't killed anyone, he lets you go through to talk to Asgore to prevent him from killing you and setting you free and letting humans and monsters interact once more before you encounter Flowey, who attacks Asgore once the fight is done and tries to kill you. Even the most evil character, Flowey, shows you compassion by sparing your life and asks why you're being so kind. When I played, as I said earlier, I forgot to go to Undyne's house, and he let me have access to my saves once again to backtrack to Undyne to interact with her in order to have the full pacifist ending. You have the freedom to be good or bad in this game, but Toriel teaches you how to be good and hopes you stick with it. So now we're going to be talking about Toriel and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So Toriel, when she saves you from being blasted to death by Flowey, has the assumption that everyone is capable of being good. She assumes that you will be good and teaches you how to be a good person by not killing the monsters in the underground, but rather talking to them. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It states that if everyone achieves all of the things that they need to make sure they are physically and psychologically healthy, they'll become the best version of themselves. Toriel strongly believes that if she rescues human children and provides them with food, shelter, a family, and the confidence to act on their own, that she can raise humans to do good in the world instead of the evils that monsters have been subjected to in the past. A humanist psychologist like Toriel believes that we are all capable of being kind, rational people, but there are external problems holding us back. The lessons don't end with Toriel. The entire game is a humanist lesson. Now that was a pretty short section, and it kind of leads us right into Kantian philosophy. A big question towards the end of the game is, do we have a moral obligation to the monsters of Undertale? When you get the true ending by being a pacifist and not killing or hurting anyone in the game, you're confronted by Flowey, who is just as aware as you are that this is one big game and you're sort of like God, choosing who dies and what ending you think is deserving for the monsters. He begs you not to reset the game and not play Undertale anymore, just to allow the monsters have their happy ending if, you've chosen the pacifist route. What a compassionate fellow he is now. But do we owe anything to the monsters of Undertale? It feels fairly obvious that we don't owe any first order obligations to the game's characters. Despite how well written and dynamic they are, the characters are ultimately digital simulacra that aren't truly self-aware and can't act beyond the constraints of Toby Fox's programming. It will be kind of absurd to consider Undertale's characters as the ends of our moral obligations, as it would be to treat a bookshelf or suitcase as the centre of our moral universe. But if we take Kant's position on animal rights, we can see that we may not have any direct duties to Undertale's characters, but we may have indirect duties. We are not given permission to be passive and disinterested observers of the game. It is clear that we, the players, are a part of this world and that we have absolute power over its inhabitants, and that responsibility can shape who we are as a person. Undertale seems to suggest a Kantian view of ethics from that standpoint. Should the player decide to go through the game killing the monsters of the underground, the game responds by openly condemning the player as monstrous. Near the end of that particularly violent playthrough, Flowey confronts the player, revealing that the EXP gained through the slaying of the monsters of the underground actually stands for execution points rather than experience points. That revelation and this description of execution points both fit into Kant's theory of why we owe indirect duties to the non-aware. When we regularly commit atrocities against non-actors, we risk normalizing those atrocities and of seeing other people through that same lens. This isn't to say that being bad in video games makes you a bad person. While it's possible that negative cultural stereotypes in video games can resonate with and influence a player's preconceived concepts, there isn't any evidence that violence in video games normalizes violence in actual players. However, maybe the converse is true. Choosing the kinder options in video games might incrementally make players better people. The decision to not replay Undertale doesn't help real people. However, choosing the option that mirrors the kindness that we can give to other people allows us to train our own sense of right and wrong. As Kant might argue, choosing Undertale's true ending and then not replaying the game afterwards is an indirect duty because it makes us more sensitive to the people whom we generally owe our moral obligations to. With the separation between player and game abolished, you're forced to ask yourself, should I always consider the morally right thing to do when playing other games? That question isn't simple to answer. Undertale stays close to Kantian deontology, but that isn't true for all games, as stated earlier, like GTA and Call of Duty. You know, those games are just fun to like kill people in a weird sadistic way. With all of this in mind, should you be nice to the monsters who, no matter what option you choose, whether that's act or fight, they will attack you until you're able to flee or spare them? Well, that's ultimately up to you. A game that makes you feel guilty for choosing a genocide route, where you also face the consequences of your own actions, is quite an ethical and moral dilemma. Even though the monsters are not real in any way, shape or form, the way that Toby Fox sets the game up makes them feel real with their actions towards you, especially Flowey, who is basically who you could end up being if you choose the genocide route. Whatever option you choose with this game, just remember that Sans will judge you and you may either become or defeat Flowey. But again, I can't convince you to stick with the genocide route or stick with a pacifist route, or even go with a neutral route. That's just up to you and who you are as a player. But yeah, sorry for taking so long to make this video. I have been working, slaving away at McDonald's, and I have university coursework and essays to do, so I've been quite busy. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.